how they felt. And he said, Dad always said, the old people said, your own trouble is your own trouble. And that's how it is with grief. I have stood at funerals in the past and thought that I knew and thought that I could feel how the bereaved family or the bereaved people were feeling. I was totally wrong, because I found out the day I had a stand at my son's funeral, I knew exactly how it felt. And in all the funerals I had been to in the past, there's no way I ever felt like that. So your own trouble is your own trouble, and it's something that you can't pass on. You can't give that grief away. Grief's a strange and wonderful thing. It comes at you in waves. It's like a roller coaster, and the problem with this roller coaster is that everybody who's on the roller coaster, your family, they're all in different cars. They're not in the same car, so they're not experiencing the same ride at the same time. Some people are down, some people are up. And we have found ourselves where one of us may be up and the other one may be down, and it's a difficult situation to go through, and one person's saying, what's wrong with you? And then of course you know what's wrong when you stop and you think. But it's something that never goes too far away. What I have learnt about grief and the loss of a child is that the greater the love, the greater the grief. I don't see the grief and the sense of loss leaving us. I think what happens is we learn to live with the grief. On the 27th of March 2004, we were going down a road where we could look ahead and we could plan things, and we were planning things and knowing what was happened. We stopped that Saturday afternoon and we took a different direction, a road that we weren't sure of, a road that we didn't know very well, a road with a lot of bends and a lot of corners, and we don't know what's around them. And that's the road of grief. But I don't believe there's anything that we and people out there who lose someone, lose a child, can't handle. We will and we are able to handle it. It's very difficult, but we will work our way through it. When I went to identify John in South Africa, he was held in the police morgue. They wheeled him out in a trolley to me, and he had a blanket over him, a white sheet over him, sorry, not a blanket, a sheet. And they pulled the sheet back, and there he was in his rugby kit, with his boots on and his shorts and his green jersey. And I lifted up his hand, his big hands, and you know, he was still dirty from the game. I looked into his eyes and I didn't see anything, and I knew his soul wasn't there. And I've seen so many elderly people in coffins, as we do in Northern Ireland, because we hold wakes and the coffin's sitting in the corner and it's open in a lot of cases, and people go up and pay their last respects. Across the water in England, I don't think you get the opportunity to do that very much, but that's what we do, and people come to the house here. So I've looked at people, I've looked at elderly people, people whose time it was to die, and I'm not just struck by the same sense of the soul not being there, but whenever I saw John, held his hand and looked into his eyes, and his pupils were totally dilated, I knew his soul had left his body. You know, you couldn't have told me any different then. And I know his soul, where it is today, and I know that at some stage in our lives we'll meet up with him again. That faith is very important to us, but it's the grief. We would still like to have him back. We would love to have him back. We're selfish. We can still, as a family, believe that, and I come home evenings from work and I could believe that John could be there waiting for us. John was a lovely guy. He was such a part of our family. He was 6'1", 14.5 stone, and a big head of red hair, and a joker, and a lovely fella. So rugby, as I've said, was going to feature a lot in John's life. After this, John led his school to the Schools Cup final on the 17th of March. The Royal School had previously won the Ulster Schools Cup in 1977. My younger brother played in that team, so it was 27 years from they had won it. And another McCall was in the team this time, and also the captain of the team. So while our school with 650 kids would really be the underdogs in rugby terms, they did have a good team and they had a good captain, and the team responded well to the captain. John was also captain of Ulster Schools Rugby and captained the Ulster Schools team that year to a very successful season, and that culminated in him being capped for Ireland on a number of occasions and going off, as I've said earlier, with the under-19s to the World Cup. Alan Solomons, who was the South African who was the coach of Ulster at that time, the full Ulster team, had said after seeing John in the Schools Cup final that that's a guy we must get onto a part-time contract. So John was looking forward to receiving a part-time Ulster contract. There was another side to John, and sometimes people find it difficult to fathom. While John was strong, physical, took no nonsense, totally committed on the rugby pitch, a hard man in rugby terms, he had a finer side to him, and that was his hand. He was a fantastic artist. He had a great skill with pencil, with chalk or crayon. And it was amazing to see this guy who was so tough and so physical and so hard in the rugby pitch and feared nothing, to sit down and sketch and draw and work with his art. John was in his final A-level year and was hoping to go to Queen's University to do architecture. So the part-time rugby contract would have financed his university years while he studied for 7 years to do architecture.